Hey traders, TG Watkins here. It is May 25th when I'm recording this, and remember, we've got Memorial Day coming up, so it's going to be a 3-day weekend. No market on Monday, and also over here at simplertrading.com, we're running a 30% special on most everything. Coming over to simplertrading.com and discount code MEMO30, and see if you guys can pick anything up. Everybody loves a good deal. So what else is there to really talk about today other than NVIDIA? We will mention a few things and kind of show you some other interesting stuff about what's going on with breadth. And then I'll circle around to the foreign ETFs that I've been looking at in the past too. Now, let's take a look at this real quick. And if we look at, there we go, get my color correct. If we look at the internals, very, very interesting. We see both new highs, and we also see a lot of new lows. As I've kind of mentioned before, this is indicative of Hindenburg, like a Hindenburg omen. You normally don't see new highs and new lows kind of reaching at the same time. So however that's going to be working out. The other thing is that another way to look at this is that breadth is narrowing. We know that a few names are doing really, really well, and a few names are not, or a lot of names are not, and that's kind of what we're seeing in through here. And if we look at the breadth as far as this goes, we have the number of stocks over the 20-day, over the 50-day, and over the 200-day, and not doing very well. They for a while was looking at this and saying, well, at least it's not going lower. We started to see kind of a turn up. But now we're right back down. We're right back down, even lower on the 50, and we continue to go lower on the 200. So it's just not doing well. Really, it's a stock picker's paradise as far as you got to figure out the right stocks that are doing well out there, because otherwise it's tough to find ones that are succeeding. Over here at the Nasdaq, we were kind of seeing a little bit of a tick up, maybe a little bit of a tick up, but again, we're right back down here. Only a handful of names are actually really doing very well and leading the market. Of course, we know NVIDIA, and we got a handful of names that are piggybacking off of that. And then here, if we kind of look at the breadth, same kind of deal. We got a little bit of a tick up, not as the S&P, not like we got a really big new highs. But we also have new lows ticking up as well, so they're not going away. Again, kind of a bifurcated market. We have names going up and we have names going down at the same time. So yeah, a little bit tough out there. If we come over here and we look at the overall market, there's just not too much to say about the SPY. The SPY is kind of just neutral. It is over most of the moving averages, and it's getting pulled up by some of the bigger names. If we look at the RSP, which is the equal weight, and you can see it's not doing very well. In fact, it continues to drift downward, drifting downward, as the Moxie indicator is below zero, and it just can't really hold anything. We had a little bit of a bump up here late last week, but now we're making new lows as far as the equal weight S&P. So again, looking at that breadth indicator, you can see that just not a lot of names are trending up. So finding the right names that are trending up is really the key to this market, and basically being in the names that are working. There are definitely some names that are working, but there are a lot of names that are not. A lot of names are just kind of going sideways. And if we look at the Nasdaq, it was all about NVIDIA today. It really, really was. I think I talked about this the other day where, yes, it was a little bit oversold or overbought, outside of that third ATR gap off the 8 EMA. And I think people probably pulled it, well, it was naturally overbought, and so it kind of got pulled back. But then NVIDIA came out and, wow, just up. If it wasn't for NVIDIA, most of the market would not be doing well, and the indexes would not be pulled up like this. If we look at the IWM, again, there's just not too much to say about this. The one thing I can really kind of point out is that it got rejected by the 200. Now we're back down at the 50. So the question is this going to find support and move up, or is this going to continue to break down again? I don't know, because if we look at this thing, we have literally been going sideways for, well, a year and starting to become over a year. All of this completely sideways. So is this going to eventually just go down like this, or are we just going to be in a chop fest forever? And who knows how long until this kind of gets picked up again. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm seeing through there. The Dow also continues to be weak, not really holding much. If we do look at the higher time frames with the Dow, we are still just barely holding on to the monthly 10 and the weekly 50. So it's not terrible yet, hasn't broken out or broken below, but it's just not really going anywhere. So nothing doing there. The indexes can stay very calm, very quiet, and it's really just kind of up to individual names to be doing their movement. If we look at the semis, the semis are doing great, right? We all know that, NVDA, all that kind of stuff, AMD, and you can see here price has been holding the weekly 21, and if we come over here to into the daily and hourly, this was basically, and I mentioned this yesterday to the Moxie group, I said, I wonder if this is going to actually be a perfect dip buy. And it was. So number one, we can see price came right up to a previous high, so double top type area. You can see it was at the 30 ATR and it was gapping off the moving average. So yeah, it was pretty reasonable to expect price to pull back, okay? And look what it did right here, pulled right back into the daily 21. That's pretty much right on. That's something to be expected. And if we look at the hourly chart, the price below the 50, Moxie indicator above zero, technically that was a trampoline move. Now, of course, it happened on news, it happened on NVIDIA earnings, but the chart was still there. Just like here, price below the 50, the Moxie indicator above zero, that's a trampoline move. And then you can see here that price was very oversold yesterday. We had price outside of the 30 ATR. It was gapping off the 8 EMA. We could see the same thing with the SPY. Just a lot of things were very, very oversold yesterday, and I figured, I figured we were going to bounce. Of course, a lot of things were benefited by NVIDIA, but simply because yesterday was so oversold, I figured we were going to bounce. And then if we look at EWG, I mentioned this one a while ago, kind of when I was leaning more bearish on the market. And it's interesting to see again that these are working out to the downside. We mentioned an inverse trampoline move here on the hourly chart. It bounced, but then it was again an inverse trampoline move. Again, price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero. And so it continues to move down. And what we can see is now we are actually breaking below the daily 50, and we are getting a fresh sell signal on the Moxie indicator. So if we look at the Germany ETF, it is running out of steam. It's coming down. You can see we had price higher, the Moxie indicator lower. So there you go. And this was not strong at all. So, we look at Nasdaq. Nasdaq's just kind of on its own planet simply because of NVIDIA and AI and tech stocks and semiconductors and stuff like that. And then if we look at EWQ, just another example. France looks almost exactly like Germany, but another little bounce right there. That was another inverse trampoline move. Now we have the 8 crossing below the 21. And again, with this poor Moxie move right there, and we have a fresh sell signal. So we are back to seeing these other country ETFs making their way lower. And we have to keep thinking we have the SPYs kind of holding sideways, but the RSP, which is the equal weight SPY, has been moving down. It is very narrow breadth. Only a few stocks are really kind of holding the market up. And based on that, here's AMD. Of course, AMD got a sympathy play from NVIDIA. We know NVIDIA is just straight up. Again, it's making all the headlines. This was a huge, huge move and a huge deal that they are doing so well. And so, there are going to be names that are moving up like this on their back. PANW, not exactly, that direct, but also another one that was doing pretty well. And then, let's see, I got to cut a little bit of a list in through here. Yeah, and then we could see another one, MPWR, Empower, or Monolithic Power. Look at it, just straight up. Now, what I want to show you, a couple things. So even though it's based on news, look at the pattern. There's an elf shoe right there, and that was a trampoline move right there. Price should not be below the 50 if the Moxie indicator is above zero. So if this continues, this is looking pretty good because, there's the pattern. We can also say that there was a 50, 200, 50 maneuver. That worked out. That worked out. The setup was there, the structure was there, and then it just took the news. And then let's see, KLAC was another one I was looking at. You can see here it's been basically doing pretty well. It got a little overbought, same thing right there, got a little overbought just like the SOXX. It pulled back right here, same with the SOXX, and it was a trampoline move on the hourly chart. And then I think also KLIC, yeah, this is kind of another one in that area, seems to also be doing well. And let me show you how this thing started. You can see here, price level, Moxie indicator up, and right here, price was below the 50, Moxie indicator above 0. That was a move to the upside. This pullback was also a trampoline move. So yeah, just some interesting things to be showing you guys out there and how the Moxie indicator is working. Let's see, SDGR. This had a big move a little while ago. I would be keeping this on your radar. What has been doing well in this market is to buy dips. Now, the hard part is trying to figure out when is a dip or when is it really in a downtrend, because things will go down, and then kind of turn around and pop on you. But clearly you can see that buying up moves or buying breakouts don't really work. So yes, here's a breakout. You don't want to go chase it. What you want to be looking for is at least, something lower, 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 and lower. Those are the best places in this market generally to be buying names. Now, as I said, the challenging part is trying to find out exactly where that lower spot is without just buying or catching a falling knife. MobileEye also got a little bit of a bump today. Now, this was earnings, so maybe it was a buy the rumor, sell the news type situation. It has since recovered. If you guys notice, there's the double bottom. It's the elf shoe. And what you're also noticing is the 8 crossing over the 21. You can see here, not quite a trampoline move, but we did get the Moxie price trigger at the exact time that price is crossing over the 50, which is, again, perfect. And then had a little pullback into the hourly 50 and continues to move up. So MobileEye looking pretty interesting. And then, yeah, let me just show you one other thing real quick. McDonald's. And I just want to show you guys, kind of similar to Germany and France as far as their ETFs go. Notice we had price down, price up, Moxie indicator down, and then that was your negative divergence. And then what you notice here is price started to get stuck underneath a downtrending hourly 50, and notice the Moxie indicator was definitely below 0. So if you start seeing things like this on your own accounts, this is the benefit of having the Moxie indicator, and they can start telling you of when you should be out and kind of protecting yourself, because, I mean, clearly McDonald's has had a nice move. You're really running up here on the 30 TR. There's a pretty big gap between price and the daily 50. So, but the Moxie indicator is telling you spot on. You need to be watching out right there. All right, guys. Remember, we have the Memorial Day sale. So come over to simplertrading.com. It's MEMO 30 for the deal. Come on over and see what you can get. All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you at the next one.